The medical bay of the Concordia station hummed with the quiet desperation of failing technology. Alice Martinez stood at the threshold, her worn boots refusing to cross the sterile line that separated the living from the dying. Through the transparent barrier, she could see her. Lixara, the Velcrin refugee whose luminescent skin had dimmed to barely a whisper of its former glory. "You're the human," came the translator's flat rendition of Lixara's melodic voice. Even dying, the Velcrin maintained their characteristic grace, though her crystalline features had begun to crack like drought-starved earth. Alice nodded, stepping inside. "Carson sent me, said you had something important to discuss." The alien's three-fingered hand trembled as she gestured to the chair beside her bio bed. "Carson, he is kind, but I asked specifically for you." "Why me?" Alice had been on the station for 8 months, one of 50 humans among thousands of alien refugees fleeing the scourge. She was a mechanic, not a diplomat or a doctor. Certainly not anyone special. Lixara's eyes, those impossible violet eyes that saw into the ultraviolet spectrum, fixed on her with uncomfortable intensity. Because humans are the only species that signs papers that mean nothing to them, yet everything to others. Alice frowned, settling into the chair. Outside the medical bay, the station groaned, its shields flickering against another wave of cosmic radiation. The scourge had poisoned this entire sector, and the Concordia was the last refuge for 3 parsecs. "I don't understand." "My people have a tradition," Lixara explained, each word seeming to cost her. "When we die, we must die as someone, a child, a parent, a spouse. To die alone, unclaimed. Our souls scatter, we become nothing." A pause, heavy with meaning. "I am the last of my family. The scourge took them all." The weight of those words settled on Alice's shoulders like a physical thing. She'd heard the stories, entire Velcrin colonies consumed by the bioweapon that had been unleashed in a war that predated humanity's first stumbling steps into the galaxy. The Velcrin had been billions. Now they numbered in the thousands. "The other species on this station," Lixara continued, "they understand my request. They sympathize. But their laws, their customs. To marry is to bind, to obligate, to inherit debt and responsibility. None will sign even for a dying stranger. But humans will. Humans are strange." For the first time, something like a smile crossed Lixara's face. "You make promises you cannot keep. You create meaning where none exists. You write your names on paper and believe it changes reality." Alice leaned back, understanding dawning. "You want someone to marry you, legally, so you can die as a wife." "Yes." "And you chose me because?" "Because Carson told me about Earth marriage. How humans marry for love, yes, but also for taxes, for citizenship, for health insurance. How some marry dying strangers so they can die with dignity in a hospital. How you create legal fictions that serve emotional truths." Lixara's breathing hitched. "I have perhaps 3 days. I need a legal fiction. I need an emotional truth." Alice thought of Carson, the station's de facto human ambassador, always trying to bridge the gap between humanity and the rest of the galaxy. She thought of her own sister, who'd married her best friend so she could afford cancer treatment under combined insurance. The marriage had lasted 6 months, just long enough. They'd annulled it with signatures as meaningless and profound as the ones that had created it. "What do you need me to do?" The relief in Lixara's eyes could have powered the station's shields. "The Velcrin have provided digital documentation. It requires 2 signatures and a witness. The station's legal AI will recognize it under the refugee accommodation protocols. You would be my wife for however long I have. And after? After you sign another paper. The marriage dissolves. You inherit nothing, I have nothing. You owe nothing, I ask nothing. But I will die as someone's wife. My soul will know where it belongs." Alice stood, walking to the window that looked out onto the damaged stars. The scourge had turned space itself sick, filled it with colors that shouldn't exist. Somewhere out there, Earth continued on, oblivious to these small dramas playing out on the frontier. "Get the papers," she said quietly. Carson arrived an hour later with the digital tablets, his weathered face betraying nothing but gentle approval. He'd been in space longer than Alice, had seen more, understood more. "You don't have to do this," he said as the legal documents materialized in holographic script above the bed. "I know." Alice took the stylus. The words were in standard galactic, but the translator helpfully provided English subtitles. It was surprisingly simple. Two individuals declaring mutual recognition, witnessed and authenticated. Not so different from a courthouse wedding on Earth. She signed. The stylus felt heavier than it should. Lixara's hand shook violently as she added her own signature, the Velcrin script flowing like water, like music made visible. Carson witnessed. The AI chimed acknowledgement. "By the authority vested in this station under Protocol 7, Section 12 of the Refugee Accords, I recognize this union," the AI intoned. "Alice Martinez and Lixara of Velcrin Prime, you are legally married." The change was immediate. Lixara's entire body seemed to relax, the tension draining from her crystalline features. Her skin brightened just a little, not healing but no longer fighting. "Thank you," she whispered. "Wife." Alice surprised herself by taking the alien's hand. It was cool, smooth, like polished stone. "Wife," she echoed, and meant it. Lixara died 2 days later, her hand in Alice's, Carson keeping vigil on the other side. Her last words, translated from melodic Velcrin, were simple. "I am someone. I am yours. I am whole." After Alice signed the dissolution papers with the same stylus, the marriage had lasted 47 hours. The legal fiction ended. But that night, when Alice returned to her cramped quarters, she found a message in her personal files. Lixara had recorded it hours before the end. "You gave me the gift that only humans understand," the translation played. "The gift of pretending something matters until it does. Other species see your papers and promises as lies. But I learned the truth. You are the species that makes reality bend to your will through sheer insistence that meaning exists. You signed a paper that meant nothing, and in doing so gave my death everything. Thank you for being human. Thank you for being my wife." Alice saved the message, filed it under important documents, right next to her own birth certificate and pilot's license. Just another paper that meant nothing. Just another paper that meant everything. Outside, the station continued its orbit, shields holding against the poisoned stars, humans and aliens alike, learning what it meant to be someone in the darkness. End.